Hello everybody, more trig here. We're going to actually incorporate everything we've learned and compile it into these right triangles. So the first thing I want you to do is on your paper is I want you to write this, the SOHCAHTOA, SOHCAHTOA. This is going to help us. It's our acronym to tell us whether we are going to be using sine, cosine, or tangent for each problem. Okay, so just like the ones that we did previously, we're going to circle the reference angle. So it's whatever the angle is that's given to us. We're going to label opposite, adjacent, and hypotenuse. So arrow opposite, the hypotenuse is opposite the 90, and then I have the adjacent. So now the only thing that's going to be different from our solving before is we have to figure out what two letters that we have. Okay, so a variable could be there. I'm still going to use one. The one we're not going to use is going to be the one that's completely blank. Okay, since the hypotenuse is completely blank, that is one we are not going to use. So I'm going to look over here. So I have the opposite and the adjacent. So I need to look back and figure out which one has O and A. O and A. Boom. Tangent. Okay, so that tells me I'm going to use the tangent one out of these three because it uses the opposite and the adjacent. So it's always the sine, cosine, or tangent of the angle that's given to you. So my equation that I'm going to set up is tangent 42 degrees. The tangent ratio of 42 degrees is equal to 10 over x. Okay, and this looks exactly like the ones that we just did in the last video. So then I can set this up. I can cross multiply. All right, 1 times 10. So I'm going to go diagonally here. 1 times 10 is 10 equals the other way. Tangent 42 times x. Or you can write it x tangent 42. It would be the exact same thing. And then to undo multiplication, I'm going to have to divide both sides by tangent 42. So again, that tangent with the 42 should always travel together. Like I can't just divide by a tangent, or I'm not going to just divide by 42. Okay, those guys cancel out. And I have x equals 10 divided by tangent 42. Okay, so then in my calculator over here, I'm going to go 10 divided by tangent 42. Again, make sure we're in degree mode. I'm in degrees. 10 divided by tangent 42. Boom, 11.1. X equals 11.1. And you can put down the meters, 11.1 meters. Okay, the next one here. All right, I'm going to circle, boom, opposite, adjacent, hypotenuse. Then I ask myself, well, which one would I use? Since I have adjacent and hypotenuse, I'm going to look back up here and it's going to be the cosine. That's the combo that I use. So I'm going to write cosine of your angle, which is 70 degrees. The cosine ratio of 70 degrees is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse. So I have to go A over H. So x over 24. From there, I can cross multiply. 1 times x is x. 24 times cosine 70 is just 24 times cosine 70. Again, I could do cosine 70 times 24 as well. X equals cosine 70 times 24. Just make sure you close that parenthesis in your calculator. These mean the exact same thing. So cosine 70 times 24. Cosine 70 times 24. You can do the multiplication there, or you can just close the parenthesis. So 8.2, x equals 8.2. centimeters. Then for this last one over here, all right, circle, opposite, adjacent, hypotenuse. Okay, I have A into H again, so I'm going to use cosine again. So I'd have cosine of theta equals A over H, which is 15.1 over 16.5. Now this is the one where we're solving for an angle. So if you notice here, X is on the right side, X is on the right side, you just cross multiply. If it's here, we have to use the inverse. Okay, so this one, it's going to be the inverse cosine. So I'm going to go cosine -1, or the inverse cosine of 15.1 over 16.5. That's going to be equal to our theta. So then theta equals cosine -1, 15.1 over 16.5. Remember, use the second button, second cosine, 15.1 over 16.5. 23.8 degrees. 23.8 degrees. Okay, that is it for those top three. What I'm going to have you do is I'm going to try to see if you can set these up on your own, and I'll ask your questions as we go through it. Okay. Oh, this one almost got me. Okay, opposite, adjacent, hypotenuse. Sorry about that. All right, so the big thing to remember here is you will only have 3 different types of scenarios. Okay, like this, if the variable is in the denominator, okay, you should start seeing some patterns. You can cross multiply and you end up using division. It's almost like these two kind of make a little switcheroo. Okay, x equals 10 divided by tangent 24. There's a pattern there. All right, so with this one, okay, x is in the numerator. You end up multiplying. Here, your variable is the angle, so you use the inverse. As I look down here, angle, so I use the inverse. Denominator, I'm going to end up dividing. Numerator, I multiply. So this one looks a lot like this one up here. This one looks like this one. Down here, same thing happens. Angle, inverse. Denominator, divide. Numerator, multiply. Okay? That's the basic thing. So you can set it up. It's circling, ordering, set up your equation. Okay? If it is a side you're solving for, you're going to cross multiply, where you end up multiplying or dividing. Or if it's an angle, you have to use the inverse of whatever that is. Okay?